Good morning, guys. It is February 11th. One more day till Deadpool, and this is the morning drive. And basically, if you haven't watched one of these before, what I do is I drive to work and I read comments. That's pretty much what I do. If I run out of comments, I try and think of something else to talk about. And my camera's gonna fall. Yeah, there we go. That's better. So, let's get right to the comments as I come up to the first stop sign here. Turn down the fan so you guys can hear me a bit better. Oh, it's cold out. Oh, I'm gonna have to stop. Okay. Wow, that's really cold. Oh. You ever get in your car and if you live in a colder area and like everything you touch feels like you're grabbing ice? It's me right now. Everything in this car is freezing cold. Okay. First comment is from Jim White. Which model are you looking most forward to painting? Right now, the model I'm looking most forward to painting is probably my Wraith Knight, just because I want to paint it all up in Harlequin colors. So it gives me, it basically means it's going to be more fun because I have a lot of creative freedom with it. So it should be good. I started to paint it a little bit, and I tried to play around with some stencils, and I couldn't do it because of just the weird angles and then the gems on top of it. So I had to prime over top of it, starting all over again. But it will be fun to do. And I've also gone ahead and like positioned it in a way that it looks like one of the Harlequin troop models where it's jumping off of stuff, and I customize a base so that it actually looks like it's jumping off of a rock. So that will be very fun to paint. That's what I'm looking forward to. Next up I have Axis 762. You need more comments. I agree. Are all Infinity models going to larger bases, or is it just space? Are all infantry models going to larger bases, or is it just Space Marines? My Necrons and wife's Slanesh demons want to know. As far as I know, right now it's just the Space Marines that have gone to the larger bases. I know the boxes have already started releasing them with larger bases. Sorry, there's the first John. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there you go. Nope. Okay, just doesn't want to move. I know the Space Marines have already gone to larger bases. You can buy the like troop boxes or the Demi Company box, and they already have the 32 millimeters. I don't know if anything else is. I would assume they would, but it's going to be one of those slow things that Games Workshop takes forever to do. That is my guess. Next up, I have Marcelo Despot. Good morning, no question, but please read this in an epic voice. Lotus have 2 wounds. That's my epic voice. There you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Brad Davidson. Oop. That's a green light. And the car behind me is shaking its fist. Really? You drive a Pontiac and you're gonna shake your fist at me? Okay. I'm a very judgmental person when it comes to the car somebody drives. I know there's certain scenarios that apply to why they drive that car, but don't shake your fist at me if my car can go faster than yours. Okay. Going. Okay. I'm sure one of the people who watch these videos is like, I drive a Pontiac. Jerk. And if you are, that's fine. Just don't shake your fist at me if I'm going too slow, because it's not nice. Okay, I will start reading the comment as soon as I get on the highway, because there's a weird stop sign thing that I have to maneuver around here. It's literally like a red light with an on-ramp right next to it, but people get confused because the on-ramp doesn't apply to the red light. It's weird. So some people will stop and wait for the light to turn green. It's like, no, you can go. This is fine. You're allowed to do this, but still they don't want to. There we go. Okay. And Mr. Davidson, they think waterfalls can turn off. Yes, tourists think that we can turn off the Niagara Falls. What kind of place breeds that kind of stupid? Yeah. The shrimp on the Barbie is a good one. However, I don't know anyone who calls them shrimp. They call them prawns. Okay. How do you feel about the South Park Canadians? I think they're hilarious. I'm a big fan of the whole fart joke all the time thing. And Terrence and Phillip are probably one of my favorite characters on that show. as far as like the Canadian stereotypes, they're not off. We do crack the joke in the office quite a bit of like, I'm not your buddy friend. Well, I'm not your friend, guy. He's not your guy, buddy. Like, we do that a lot, probably more than we should, but whatever. It's fun. It usually happens when somebody's like, when two people are arguing, a third person gets in on the argument, and then finally, like, the one person realizes they've lost the argument. They're like, all right, fine, whatever. And they're like, hey, don't say whatever to him, friend. And then that whole thing starts. So it's usually our way of like toning down an aggressive argument, which doesn't happen very often, but we do like to just throw the South Park stuff in there as much as we possibly can. So, and another tight turn. This car can handle them like it's nothing. Love this thing. And now it's just a straight drive into work pretty much, so I can read these. Right. Next up, we have Fallen Hero, 100 sub UV face tattoo. No, I don't think, no. I'm not getting a face tattoo. I've seen people with face tattoos, and I'm not judging, but it does not look like it was a pleasant experience. And when you bring it up, they always look like they have to reminisce about how much it hurt to get that done. So, no. I know a few people who have them. They wouldn't recommend it. I'm like, oh, how did it hurt to get that, like, whatever here? And they're like, yeah, I wouldn't do it. They're like, oh, wow, you even have one and you're saying not to. Okay. So, but even with a UV tattoo, it still leaves some sort of like a scar behind, like on my arms and on my knuckles. My knuckles are probably the worst, but on my arms you can still see, like, it looks like I used to cut myself almost, where it's just like this little faint scar. The palm of my hand, you can't see it very much. I have to like stretch my hand out for you to see even like the ink. My back, you can see it. My shoulder, you can see it big time. And my knuckles are the worst. You can actually read it without there being any light or anything like that. That's because the guy who did it actually scarred my knuckles when they were doing it. So, yeah, I went and got it done once, and you couldn't see them at all. So, like, under a UV light, you couldn't see it at all. So I went and got them done again. And I told the guy, the first time they got this done, I think some of the pigment fell out, so it didn't stick very well. He's like, okay. And he just hammered it in. And now all the skin is like a little bit bubbly, and, well, not bubbly, but like you can see where there's more pigment than there should be. So some of the letters actually kind of look like they're popping out a little bit. So, yeah, it was not a pleasant experience to get my knuckles redone, and I kind of regret it because I wouldn't take it away, but I kind of regret it because you can still see the scarring a little bit to it, and this is going on like a year later. But, meh. Alright, next up I have Bjorn. If you had to live in a movie world, which would it be? The Matrix. I would want to live in the Matrix. Yeah, just because if at any point in time you got to the point where you realized it was the Matrix and you've had those dreams that you can remember where you remembered it being a dream and could start altering things, imagine that just being your world where you could just alter whatever you wanted. I'm sorry, I just want to be Neo. I wanted to be able to like alter the world around me however I want to. I think that'd be really cool. I think it would be really bad though if everybody could do it. Yeah. It would end up being like Greek mythology all over again, where everybody's a god and they're all fighting and arguing, and yeah, it would not end well. So, next up we have Axis again. No, I'm Alfarius tattoo. There will be a video posted in April. Oh, will there be a? There will be a. Okay, there will be a posted video come April with your next tattoo. Right. Yeah, there's probably going to be a good chance that I will even record portions of myself getting the tattoo, just so you guys can watch me score. It's going to be on my shoulder, so it won't hurt too much, but it's a larger piece with a lot of details that's going all the way around my arm, so yeah, there's a good chance you're going to see me squirming around. I might yelp every now and then. When I got the one on the back of my calf done, I was totally fine with the outline, didn't bother me at all. It's when they had to do the shading that I was like, oh, it feels like they're skinning me. and that's when it started to get uncomfortable. It also took like 3 hours to do, so by hour number 3, I'm like sitting there, I'm like laying down there with my leg out. I'm like, oh, I just want this to be over. I turned around at one point and I saw like only half it was shaded. I was like, that's fine. I didn't even care. You can leave it like that. That looks fine. Like, I just wanted it to be over. I didn't even care anymore. So, but this is gonna be an even bigger piece on my shoulder. So, yeah, it's gonna hurt. But whatever. The girl who actually drew the tattoo for me will be there, so that should be interesting. It's also the same girl who I took to the movie premiere. She's a good friend of mine, and yeah, I like to make short jokes about her because I think she's 5 foot or 5'1". She says she's 5'4", but she's got to be in heels to reach that level. So I make fun of her for that. And when we were at the movie premiere, when it was over and everything like that, everyone was standing there. I'm like, all right, guys, we'll see you later. I got to get her back to the Shire. And she punched me in the shin because I think that's as high as she could punch. But yeah. Short jokes are fun. So, next comment. Fallen Hero. How many accents do you think we have in England? Hint, it's a lot more than you know. I think, off the top of my head, I can think of like 4. There's like proper, I'm going to screw this up terribly, and people from England are going to laugh at me, but I think there's like proper English. There's like slang, there's Cockney, and then there's like the different regions. There's like an Eastern and Western English type of thing. I don't know. I'm assuming, I'm gonna guess 4. I'm guessing I'm probably way under shooting that number, but whatever. I don't know. I don't even have, I can't even make an educated guess. That's the closest I can get, is maybe 4. So, right. That's a repeat comment. Next up we have Cody Asher. So, if I knew that due to Matt and Dave's religious views, that you and the rest of the staff would need to keep it squeaky clean, when you and the other staff hang out, do you guys make up for lost time? Yes. Yes, we do. I'm assuming you mean like language and just the way we act and things we talk about. Yeah. We have to keep it squeaky clean when it's on camera, for the most part, because like we don't swear on camera. That's kind of the way it works. But when the camera's off, even Matt will start cracking like weird jokes. Like there was one point when we were talking about this is gonna sound really bad at the beginning, but we were talking about true love. I think Steve was watching something on Netflix while he was painting, and the whole thing came up with true love, and Matt and I and Steve and Lee all got into this conversation about whether true love was a thing or not. And then it started like peel off into somebody being like, how can you have feelings for somebody who's like completely soulless and has no emotion whatsoever? And both Steve and I pointed at each other at the exact same time, at which point Matt didn't even miss a beat and made a gay joke about us, and we're like, was not prepared for that. So stuff like that'll happen, but that's off camera, just because there's the whole image to uphold. But usually what'll happen is after work, when it's warmer out, after work we'll all head down to Cheers, which is a local restaurant, and have a few drinks, and that's when we're just like, hey, you know what we haven't done all day? Been vulgar. And then we just start being vulgar. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. It usually involves like somebody ranting about something, and there's just a lot of cussing involved. So there's I don't even know how to explain it. It's just this weird thing that like we've got this subconscious filter in our heads that when we hear the beep of a camera, we just completely turn off all vulgarness and all the swearing and all the inappropriateness. Every now and then something small will sneak out, but yeah, it usually just automatically turns off completely, and there's nothing that comes out from us. Just, I don't know. I didn't have to work here that long, and I kind of just got not even beaten into me, just scared. I got scared by what would happen if I did say something like that. So, yeah. Plus, on top of that, Rob has to edit it, and usually he'll like call us over if we've said something and be like, "Yo, you said this." We're like, "No, we didn't." And then he'll play the clip, where he'll be like, "Oh, well, shit." See, there you go. And last comment here is from Bjorn. When you go to tournaments, do you have some special dice? I didn't until I started working at Mini Wargaming. Once I started working there, I actually started taking Mini Wargaming dice to tournaments. That's not because it's lucky or anything like that. It's just usually I'll go and I'll take like a handful with me, and by the end of it, I will be taking no dice back because I give them out, because that's what they're there for. We're supposed to give out these dice to like promote Mini Wargaming and try and build the local community and get people to want to come in. So that's usually what I'll do, is I'll give out the dice in tournaments, and then that way people have Mini Wargaming dice and they can come in and think about it and stuff like that. So that's usually what will happen there. But that's it for the comments today. Yeah, so something that I don't even know if I wanted to talk about it, but it just was something that's like, hey, you know what, I should probably mention this, because I think it's, you guys are almost like my therapists when I run out of comments and I start to talk to you guys about like weird stuff that's been going on. I think I've been working too much. 2 nights ago, I went home, and I got home about 5:30, and I went to bed, and I slept until the next day when I woke up to go to work at like, so I woke up at like 8. So I got more than enough sleep. But the weird thing was, the entire time, well, when I woke up, I was still tired, but the entire time I was asleep and dreaming and lolling off and all this stuff, I kept dreaming about like work, but it was me animating a 40k battle. So instead of it being like, oh, recording a battle like we normally do, it was me going through all the steps to make it look like every little model was getting into hand-to-hand combat or shooting or doing all this other stuff. It had no relevance to it, but it was me just animating this, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm dreaming, I'm sleeping, I'm supposed to be relaxing. Why can't I be like on a beach with an attractive girl? No, I'm sitting in front of a computer animating a miniature fight. Okay, well, whatever. But the thing was, I remember working on that in my head for the same amount of time that I was asleep, so for borderline 13 hours. I remember working on the entire thing that whole time. Hey, that cop just passed me, and now he's turning around. This should be interesting. I'm probably gonna get to the parking lot before you catch me there, but yeah, I remember working on it, and I can recall working on it for the full 13 hours. And I remember waking up, and the thing that bothered me the most was that it wasn't actually done. It was like, oh, I dreamt myself doing all this work and making this awesome animated video, and now I have nothing to show for it. It's almost like when you have those dreams where you have tons of money, or you've like robbed a bank and you've got all these, you've in your dream you've possessed some sort of item that will solve a lot of your problems in the real world, and then when you wake up you no longer have that item, and you're like, oh, so you just wake up and you're super depressed. That's pretty much what happened with this dream. I woke up and I was just like, oh, but I put so much work into that video and it was so good. Oh. And the thing was, it didn't even make sense. Like, I remember at one point, this is when I realized it was a dream, I was telling the miniatures how to act. Like, at one point I looked at a Space Marine model, I was like, you're dying. You need to, like, sell it to me. Sell it to me that you are dying right now. That you have taken a bolt around to the chest, and you are dying, and you are in pain. I need you to sell it to me. And action. And then I recorded the miniature, like, acting. But I was like, can't do that. They're plastic, and they don't even react to stuff like this. But anyway, that's the, like, extent of how weird this dream got. And I remember it bugged me so much, because I woke up and I was just like, oh, they didn't do anything. And, like, I even remember cursing out one of the miniatures by name, because it was the one that just wouldn't cooperate the entire time. And I was just like, no, Leo, why would you do this to me? Like, yeah, I called him Leo. I don't even know where that came from. But, hey, look, it's Lee. Oh, maybe that's where Leo came from. If I hit Lee, will he notice? Nope, didn't even turn around. Oop, that's me running over ice. Anyway, guys, I'm officially at work. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this morning drive. As always, leave a comment below if you want me to read it out loud in some sort of epic voice. I can try my best. As you heard, it wasn't the greatest. I can also answer any questions that you may have. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow.